Oh, yes, we are just about ready to go live this morning. I am here with all of our amazing candidates for Jefferson County office this year. We're going to give it just a couple minutes to allow our attendees to hop on, and then we'll start the program. Good morning. If you're just joining us, we're just giving it one more minute to allow everybody to get through the login process, and then we'll get started with the program. All right, well, good morning, everybody, and welcome, chamber members and guests. My name is Cammie Welch. I am the president of the Arvada Chamber of Commerce, and we're so grateful that you've joined us this morning for our county election forum. Before we get started, I would love to take a moment to thank the elected officials and dignitaries who have joined us today. As I've said before, this is a little bit more challenging doing this via Zoom because I can't see all of you. So I'm going to do my best, but if I missed you, please, please, please in the chat box, put your name and what role you play for our community so we can make sure that we recognize that you joined us this morning. From the Arvada City Council, we have Arvada Mayor Mark Williams, Mayor Pro Tem Dot Miller, John Marriott, and Nancy Ford. We have Arvada City Manager Mark Devon with us today, as well as Jefferson County Commissioners Leslie Dahlkamper and Libby Szabo. Apex Board Member Liz Tomsola has joined us, as well as Fire Board Member Bob Leveridge. We have Arvada Fire Chief Mike Piper, State Senator Rachel Zenzinger, and State Representative Tracy Kraft-Tharp with us today. I recognize that we also have a number of candidates who are in the cycle right now of running for office, and we want to give you a chance to let us know that you're here as well. Please take a moment in that chat box to let us know who you are and what position you're running for. I'd also like to take a moment to thank our incredible sponsors of the Chamber. We can't do this work, these great forums and community events and efforts that we do without the support of the amazing companies you see listed on this slide in front of you. It's an incredible labor of love to all of these sponsors in this community, and obviously they care deeply about Arvada because they keep contributing to the great work that all of you are helping us to achieve as an organization. So thank you for that. The Arvada Chamber has hosted candidate forums for nearly 40 years, and we appreciate the opportunity to provide a space for our businesses and community leaders to hear more about the candidates who commit their time, treasure, and talent to running for office. We all recognize this is not a small commitment. I will tell you, this is our first time hosting a candidate forum via Zoom, and so we appreciate what we call your tech grace. We need to have your flexibility as we know things sometimes don't go as smoothly as we would like, and we appreciate your understanding as we learn together how to make this platform work effectively for this type of forum. And then as a friendly reminder, you've heard us talk a lot before about civility. We as a community care deeply about the success of Arvada, Jefferson County, and Colorado. And we want to make sure that these forums are a place for learning and respect. And so we ask that you offer that kindness. When you don't agree with something, please keep it to yourself. If you have something positive to share or say, that chat box is yours to share those positive comments and support for our candidates, because they are putting a lot out there during this time. So we are going to work together, Michael McCarran, who is the current chair of our Government Affairs Committee, and myself to be facilitating this discussion today. Welcome, Michael.
All right. Thank you, Cammie. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the brave new world. I've been used to doing business meetings and other things via Zoom. This is the first time I'm getting into the elected arena and seeing campaigning via Zoom. So this kind of exciting times for everybody. Thanks everyone for joining us this morning and to meet the candidates running for Jefferson County Commissioners in District 1, 2, and the District Attorney. Before we begin the forum, I wanted to go over a little background and review the format of today's event. We've broken the forum into 3 sections to keep a solid flow of information. Each candidate will receive 2-minute opening statements, followed by a series of questions based upon their position, and finally, candidates will have 60 seconds to make closing remarks. You will notice a timer on the screen that everyone can see to help candidates stay within the time parameters. Cami will kick us off with opening remarks for District 1.
Awesome. Thanks, Michael. All right, so we're going to start with 2 minutes of opening remarks. Ryan, our amazing marketing director, is going to put up a timer on the screen here in just a second to help everybody keep track of how things are going on their end as far as keeping time. We are starting today with Tracy Kraft-Tharp for County Commissioner, District 1.
Morning, I'm Tracy Kraft-Tharp. I'm running for County Commissioner District 1. Sure is strange to have this format on our Friday morning breakfast. In order to help me feel more comfortable, in order to help you feel more comfortable, my husband and I spent last night drawing pictures of you all so that those are right in front of me so that you can give your support. So please, Mike, Christine, give me a big smile, okay? So I have deep roots in our Jefferson County community. My husband and I have lived here since 1997. I worked at Family Tree running the Gemini House and the Battered Women's Shelter, Women in Crisis. I've served on a number of county coalitions, including the City of Arvada Human Resources Committee for over 10 years, the City of Arvada Capital Recommendations Committee, the Jefferson County School District Accountability Committee, and then of course I've served on both the Westminster Chamber and Government Affairs Committee and the Arvada Chamber and the Government Affairs Committee. So I know this community, I've got experience in this community. Besides that, I graduated twice from the University of Denver, my master's in social work and my law degree, paid both of those student loans off. So there's three guiding posts about me that help you know me and differentiate me from my opponents. One is I am accessible. 2 is you know me, I don't play partisan politics. I pull people together, find common ground. The 3rd is that I get things done. Don't just talk, talk, talk. These are unique times that need my own demonstrated leadership and expertise. So thank you all for having me here. Thanks for doing this forum. And thank you for the pictures of you all showing me support.
Awesome. Thank you very much. We appreciate those opening remarks and great job staying in time. That's perfect. Next up, we have Hans Romer running for County Commissioner in District 1. Take it away, Hans.
The floor is yours, Hans. Can you hear us?
All right. We may check in with Hans and see what's going on with his AV. Commissioner Szabo, I'm going to flip to you now. So we'll go ahead and have you go with your 2 minutes of opening remarks. Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you, Cami, and welcome. Good morning. I'm Libby Szabo, Jefferson County Commissioner here in District 1. Welcome to District 1. My husband and I have deep roots here in Jefferson County. I have lived in Jefferson County almost my entire life, and growing up here gives me insight and perspective on how special Jeffco and our community is. It's where I was raised, and our grandchildren are having that same great opportunity to grow up. I am so proud to say that I've been able to live my American dream here and want every citizen in our county to be able to have that opportunity. After serving 2 terms in the state legislature, where I was recognized as the first Hispanic woman to be elected assistant leader, I understand the broader view of what our citizens and businesses need to thrive. My voting record shows I'm a fiscal conservative, and I believe our county government should work for the people in a collaborative way. That's why I am always accessible, and I will talk to whoever and try to solve their problem, no matter what party they are in. Our family owned a small business here in Jeffco for over 50 years, and I understand the strain that it puts on small businesses to face the burdens of increased regulation and overtaxation. My voting record in the House and as county commissioner shows I'm committed to sound fiscal policy, less regulations, more freedom for entrepreneurs to prosper in our county. I take this responsibility very serious, and I'm humbled every single day to serve the great people of the county we all call home.
Awesome. Thank you, Commissioner. Appreciate that. It looks like we might have lost Hans Romer. I'm kind of looking on our list here and I don't see him, but I'll ask really quick. Hans, are you on the line with us? All right. So if we're able to get him back, we will definitely give him a space to share his opening remarks when he hops back on. These are the downfalls of technology for sure. Michael, I'll kick it to you for the next round.
All right. District 2. We will start with opening remarks from Joni Inman. Joni, please share with the group. Check your sound, Joni.
Okay,
there we go.
How's that? Hi, everybody. I'm Joni Inman, County Commissioner candidate, District 2, and a longtime member of the Arvada Chamber of Commerce. It was an Arvada Chamber breakfast a year ago where I made my final decision to run for County Commissioner. You might recall that there was a little ballot issue we had going on a year ago, and people even in my own party were divided about that. I walked into the room at the Arvada Center a little bit late, as usual, for those of you who know me, and I took a seat next to Sheriff Schrader. I looked across the room and somebody on the opposite side of that issue was just shooting daggers at me. And I thought, this is not the community that I grew up in. We have to work to make sure that civility and is maintained. And I walked out of that room determined to run for office. We can't let divisiveness swallow us up in Jefferson County. I love this community. I went to Dunston Junior High and Bear Creek High School. I met my husband at a nightclub on Colfax, married him at a church in Conifer. All 4 of our children were born and raised in Jefferson County. Got my first traffic ticket in Arvada and my last one in unincorporated Jeffco. And I'm a former newspaper reporter. You may remember my name from the Arvada Sentinel many years ago. You combine my professional experience as a small business owner and former deputy city manager and director of the mayor's office in Lakewood with that community involvement, and I think you'll find that experience matters. I have the management experience in both the private and public sector to make me the most qualified candidate for this office. And I'm very happy to be here with all of you today.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Joni. Andy, if you would share with the group your opening remarks.
Great, thank you. And thank you everyone for being here and for the Arvada Chamber to be hosting this. My name is Andy Kerr. I'm running for Jefferson County Commissioner, District 2. And I have lived here in Jefferson County for over 40 years. My family moved here to Jeffco in the 70s. And both my wife and my mother-in-law are both Arvada High School graduates. My kids are 3rd generation Jeffco residents. I am running because my wife and I strongly believe that Jeffco is a great place to live, work, and play. I have dedicated most of my professional career to teaching social studies here in Jefferson County. And you probably best know me as my 12 years as a citizen legislator in both the House and the Senate. I served 6 years in the House, 6 years in the Senate, 6 years in the majority party, 6 years in the minority party. So a good breadth of experience there. During that time, I carried hundreds and hundreds of bills and passed dozens of them as well. Everything from workforce development, I think Tracy and I carried a number of those together. I also have carried bills cutting taxes for small businesses. I've received multiple legislative awards from many groups, including from the Colorado Restaurant Association 4 times, from the Colorado Telecommunications Association twice, Dr. Cog, Habitat for Humanity, and many more. I was well known for, in my time in the legislature, for reaching out. Many of you may have come to my appetizers with Andy, where we would always meet at a small locally owned restaurant to talk about stuff. Also, you may have known that I was very opposed to Lakewood 200. Well, with that, I will wrap up and looking forward to the conversation.
Awesome. Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. We're now going to move into meeting our candidates for district attorney. We're going to start with Matt Durkin.
Well, good morning. Thank you so much for putting this forum together. Thank you, Cami, in the Arvada Chamber of Commerce. My name is Matthew Durkin, and I'm a Chief Deputy District Attorney in the Jeffco and Gilpin County DA's office now, and I'm running to be your next district attorney. This is my home. I was born in Jefferson County and raised in Jefferson County. This is where my wife and I are raising our beautiful family, and this is our community. I love our community, but I hate to see what's happening to it. We have a drug addiction crisis that's fueling a crime wave that needs to be pushed back, and that's why I'm running to be your next district attorney. I started in the office in 1996 as an intern, and as a deputy district attorney for many years, I prosecuted every case you can imagine. I was in the Crimes Against Children unit, where I prosecuted cases of sexual and physical abuse against children. I was detached to the West Metro Drug Task Force, where we took on drug trafficking organizations, at the same time prosecuting all kinds of murders. In 2011, I had the opportunity to go to the Colorado Attorney General's office to prosecute major homicides all over the state of Colorado, and was promoted to Deputy Attorney General, where I led the criminal justice section, managed a $10 million budget, supervised 70 employees, worked with the Colorado legislature, both Democrat and Republicans, at the forefront of criminal justice reform. In 2015, our DA, Pete Weir, who is term limited and supports me in taking over the office, brought me back as a chief DA. For nearly 25 years, I've dedicated my career to seeking justice in each case by putting public safety over politics, which is why I'm proud to have earned the support of elected Democrat and Republican district attorneys across the state of Colorado, and the trust and support of well-respected Republican and unaffiliated leaders across Jefferson County and Arvada. I look forward to sharing my vision with you in this forum here today.
Thank you, Matt. And I've got to commend all of you for staying within the time. You're doing fantastic. I appreciate it very much. Next, we're going to hear from Alexis King, also a candidate for district attorney.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you for this opportunity this morning. I'm Alexis King, and I'm running to be the first woman to lead our district attorney's office. I grew up on the west side of Colorado Springs, and after college worked in a nonprofit serving sex assault and domestic violence survivors, and really saw firsthand how the safety of survivors often rests with law enforcement, and particularly the prosecution. It took me to law school at the University of Denver, and after clerking for a judge, I became a deputy district attorney here in Jefferson County, where I moved and now raise my family in Golden. I served as a prosecutor for this community for 10 years. I spent the first 5 years prosecuting every level of crime, but was often frustrated that it didn't seem like what we were doing was working. I spent the next 5 years working on issues around children and frankly solving problems that I didn't see being solved in the adult system. That leadership that included working with the community, law enforcement, and our schools is what brought me to lead our human trafficking unit, where I not only worked on local policy, but also at the legislature and on statewide policy on the Governor's Human Trafficking Council. In 2017, I was recruited to be a magistrate judge in Denver, and I helped them roll out their first transparent and evidence-based bond reform to make sure they weren't over-incarcerating people who were truly facing poverty, mental illness, and addiction. In 2019, I became a nonprofit lawyer where I worked on behalf of children facing discrimination in schools. I have brought transformative leadership to every role I've ever served in. I will bring ethical prosecution for violent offenders here in Jefferson County, as well as transparent leadership. I've spent my career giving voice to the voiceless. I've seen it from all sides, and I am ready to do that as your next district attorney.
Great. Thank you, Alexis. And I guess one quick comment from all the candidates running is, the depth and breadth of, experience and how much time everyone's been in the Jefferson County community. I've owned my business here for about 21 years, and you guys make me feel like the new kid coming in. So that's amazing. All the deep roots that I believe was referenced a couple of times. So I'm going to move on to the Q&A section of the forum, starting with our candidates running for district attorney. You will each have 1 minute to answer the posed questions. So Alexis, I'll give you the first question. The financial strain the county currently faces is of concern to many. How do you plan to tackle these challenges within the district attorney's office specifically?
So I think whenever we're looking at budgetary strains, we need to be looking at the largest line items in the budget. That here in Jefferson County is the jail, and we need to make sure we're using that resource appropriately. The jail must have the capacity to hold dangerous people who cannot be supervised in our community. But what about all the other folks in our jails? Jeffco has never committed to transparent and evidence-based bond reform to reduce bias in bond setting. We need to make sure that we're not over-incarcerating low-risk folks who we can supervise in the community. If we over-incarcerate low-risk people, we are asking for increased recidivism, and that should not be our business. We cannot be in the business of increasing crime with archaic bond practices. I'll bring the bond reform that I used in Denver to increase our opportunity to supervise people in the community safely and make sure that we can house dangerous people in our jail where they belong. Thank you.
Thank you, Alexis. I would pose the same question for you, Matt Durkin.
Thank you. Prioritization. Even in good times, the county budget must be prioritized, which means putting public safety first. In 2019, as the county began to discuss their budget problems, it was clear that revenues had grown by $40 million, but the budget had grown by $50 million, and it was apparent that there was a lack of prioritization. Now with the economic devastation due to COVID, it is critical that public safety be the #1 focus of the budget. I have successfully worked with Republicans and Democrats to successfully pursue criminal justice reform, and I'll take that experience to work with all county leaders to make sure we maintain strong prosecutorial standards while seeking innovations to reduce crime. Many inmates have been released, and 50% of them come back, oftentimes for violent crimes. Without public safety, our neighborhoods aren't safe, our businesses can't thrive, and we cannot enjoy the great outdoors. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Matt, we'll now go on to the second question, and Matt, the floor will be yours again. What will be your approach to addressing concerns of racial injustice?
Racism is an evil that must be crushed at all times. It is our responsibility as law enforcement and district attorneys to prosecute without mercy any and all crimes that are rooted in racism. Martin Luther King once said that an injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. To prevent any injustice, we must ensure that we have quality recruitment, training, transparency, and accountability for law enforcement and prosecution so that we can make sure that we investigate and prosecute any racial injustice. That means anyone who commits a racist crime, and police who support me in this race will agree with me, that's even more true if that crime is committed by a police officer. I'm the only candidate in this race who has the experience of taking police officers to trial because no one is above the law. Thank you.
Thank you, Matt. I would pose the same question to you, Alexis.
Thank you. More than a year ago, before the death of Breonna Taylor and George Floyd and the national outcry for the criminal justice system to address systemic racism, I was campaigning on a very unsexy platform around data collection and transparency, because I believe that as a public servant, we must be able to have forthright conversations with the community about what we're doing and how we're doing it. And in this context, who we're prosecuting and whether they're being treated the same or differently based on their identities. With that information and leadership in this transparency project, we can then engage our community with honest conversation and including law enforcement about how we address disparities and how we as elected officials become more accountable to those we serve. Under my leadership, we'll be able to raise the bar not only here in Jeffco, but across Colorado for what our expectations are of public servants, and particularly law enforcement, who hold so much power in people's lives.
Excellent. Thank you for your thoughtful comments on such a difficult topic in such a difficult time for our county and our country. Question number 3, Alexis, the floor will be yours. So I'm going to list 3 topics. Pick one that you believe will be most critical to address in your work as DA, and please explain why. The topics are homelessness, jail overcrowding, or crime rates.
Let's talk about crime rates. We have to make sure that when we're talking about crime rates, we're talking about our community, and that whatever data being discussed is publicly available. And we don't have that here. We can all agree that we want to see aggressive prosecution of violent crimes in our community, but that's a very small percentage of what the district attorney does every day. Republicans have held this office for 16 years, and if we keep doing the same thing, we're going to get the same result. We need innovative and responsible reform. We must catch up to other metro area offices who offer true diversionary paths for low-risk folks that we can serve in the community, because such programs significantly reduce recidivism, which means less crime. I am the only candidate in this race who has focused a large effort on making sure that we are only addressing those in the court system that need to be addressed in the court system. And really having a true diversionary path is good for the economic health as well as the county as we continue to weather unprecedented times.
Excellent. I will pose the same question for you, Matt Durkin. The floor is yours.
Thank you. Let's talk about crime as well. Crime is spiraling out of control. Beth McCann, the Denver DA, has acknowledged that there's a drug addiction crisis that's fueling a crime wave. And that crime wave is exacerbated by one of the worst recidivism rates in the country at nearly 50%. Here in Jefferson County, that drug addiction has taken a lethal turn with a huge spike in homicides in just the last 2 years. But it has also had a significant impact on the ability of businesses to thrive due to crimes like burglary, smash and grabs, and car thefts. To address this crisis, I have the experience in criminal justice reform to implement my vision to address addiction by broadening our diversion program, which is based upon accountability and responsibility and has more than a 70% success rate as compared to other programs that are below 20%. I look forward to implementing this vision to reduce crime and recidivism and for the benefit of the public safety in Jefferson County.
Okay, so my question number 4, and Matt, the floor will be yours first. What would you define as the biggest challenge facing the work you will do as district attorney if elected?
Well, with an increase in crime, the district attorney's office is being forced to seek justice on as many as 20% more serious and violent crimes with much less resources due to budget cuts. Poor policies have led to greater drug use, rising crime, which serves as unfunded mandates to the local communities, including businesses, to deal with not only the damage to our neighborhoods, but also to the individual offenders and victims. We have to once again have a honest and common sense conversation about how recidivism and addiction is driving crime up. so that we can effectively, perhaps for the first time, rehabilitate our community that's been so severely impacted. I have a vision to bolster our diversion programs and problem-solving courts to drive that recidivism rate as low as it can possibly go for the benefit of future victims, the community, and individual offenders. Thank you.
Thanks, Matt. Alexis, your response?
My biggest challenge is unmuting myself. All right. My biggest challenge will be bringing transformative and transparent leadership to the status quo. I have a track record of making meaningful reform, and my track record has been earned. I led the operations of our district attorney's juvenile unit and human trafficking. I've mentored young attorneys, managed support staff, reviewed performance, developed alternative prosecution models, worked in alternative courts, built relationships with stakeholders, created trainings, advanced legislation, all while responding to emergent situations. As a member of the Colorado Bar's Executive Council, I've implemented strategic plans, reviewed them for efficacy, reviewed bylaws, MOUs, and oversaw a $10 million budget. I come by my leadership and my vision for the DA's office through earned experience and not political grooming, and it is that track record that I will bring as your next district attorney.
Thank you, Alexis. Now we will move both of you into a little lighter portion. Those are pretty heavy topics for the community to deal with, but we'll get to know you a little less a DA and a little more as a person. So this is the fire round. So if you could give me 3-word answers, please. And Alexis, the floor is yours. So I'll start with you. What is your favorite place to shop or eat in Arvada?
Yak and Yeti.
All right, Matt?
I eat most of my meals at the Arvada Police Department.
All right. Matt, we'll stay with you. What was the last book you read?
With All Due Respect by Nikki Haley.
Alexis?
Astrophysics for People in a Hurry.
Wow. All right. Alexis, we'll stay with you. What is the most common topic that comes up when you're out campaigning?
Systemic racism.
Matt?
Do I support defunding the police? Which I do not.
Okay. Matt, we'll stay with you. If you could have coffee with someone dead or alive, who would it be?
Martin Luther King.
Alexis?
Michelle Obama.
All right. The final question, and Alexis, will stay with you. What was your first job?
Professional manure mover.
All right. Matt?
Groundskeeper, Bear Creek Swim and Tennis Club.
All right. Thank you both. Cammie?
Awesome. Thank you. I love those fire round questions. It's so fun to get to know you guys a little bit better. We're going to move into District 2, and we're going to do the same format that you just heard from the District Attorney's Office, but different questions formed more toward the position of Commissioner. Joni, you're going to be first in answering the question. And the first question that you'll be taking is, what type of policy can be implemented at the county level that will support Jefferson County businesses?
What type of policy can be implemented at the county level to support the businesses? As a business owner and a business consultant, I don't feel that we need to create a government policy to support Jeffco businesses. I think we need to get out of the way and let Jeffco businesses figure out how to be competitive in the marketplace. We should never place additional burdens on our business community by instituting mandates that add to the cost of doing business. Government should not be dictating hours of operation or anything else that makes the cost of business so burdensome that our local businesses cannot survive. An example of something government can do is Jefferson County's recent elimination of the business personal property tax, an action that was taken 2 years ago, initiated by Commissioner Szabo, by the way, and voted on unanimously by the commissioners.
Thank you, Joni. Same question to you, Andy. Policies that could be instituted by the county to support business.
Yep, thank you for the question. So one thing I noticed, I was looking at the Arvada Chamber website, and right on your front page, it's talking about safe and open. And I think that's a great way to look at the current crisis that Jefferson County and the entire country is facing right now with COVID. One thing that you've seen across Colorado is our government helping businesses with, for example, restaurants being able to move outside onto the sidewalk, whereas before there were rules and regulations about that. Local governments are starting to waive some of those and help small businesses, and I think listen to the business community as what are some new innovative ways that we can get our businesses open while still keeping everyone, the employees and the patrons, safe.
Awesome. So keep yourself unmuted because you're going to be first on this next question. Another light topic for us this morning. Let's talk about debrucing. What do you see as the pros and cons?
So I think having Jefferson County debruce is one of the top priorities that we should all have. Our county commissioners were having to cut over $10 million from the budget, even during good economic times. And we certainly are not going to be experiencing times like that again in the near future. It is critical that the county commissioners have a range of options to make sure that the services that Jefferson County people, residents and small businesses demand from the county, that those services and opportunities are available. And until we debruce here in Jefferson County, it is going to be very, very difficult to make sure that those services are delivered.
Perfect. Thank you. Joni, same question to you. Pros and cons of debrucing.
Okay. Well, first of all, debrucing is the term that's used when a government wants to get rid of TABOR, the Taxpayer Bill of Rights. I'm a taxpayer. I think everybody in this virtual room is a taxpayer as well. So this is our Bill of Rights. Under TABOR, TABOR does two things. The first thing, it creates a spending limit, but keep in mind that each and every year, based on a formula, the county gets to keep more of our money. It's not a cut, it is more money each and every year. And TABOR also allows for the people to vote on raising taxes. So if there is a need to keep more of our money collected, then TABOR allows us to go to the voters and ask for permission to do that. It's a vote of the people. Last year, the county put a debrucing measure on the ballot. It was solidly defeated, and I think we can trust the voters to make wise decisions.
Thank you. Appreciate those comments. So Joni, you're going to kick us off first this time on question 3, which is what influence should the greater community have on development?
Yeah. So Jefferson County's population is going to continue to grow over the next several years, and it's the county's comprehensive plan, which is periodically updated, that helps guide where that growth will occur. This is really where the community should begin to engage, help determine ahead of time where appropriate development can or should occur. Keep in mind that county commissioners have land use decision-making responsibilities only in the unincorporated areas, not within municipal boundaries. So I'm a private property rights advocate. A property owner should be able to use and develop their property for that which it is zoned. If a rezoning is requested, then I first look at the need for the proposed rezoning and the potential impact on neighboring property owners' ability to continue to use their property for that which it is zoned, and the impact of the surrounding property values, and finally look at what resources such as water are sufficient to handle the development. Community members should not wait until the last minute to try to influence a specific proposed development. They should engage at every step, starting with the comprehensive planning process.
Perfect. Thank you, Joni. Andy, same question to you about what role communities should have on development.
Absolutely. Thank you. So I absolutely agree that the comprehensive plan needs to be the guidepost for any new development, any redevelopment, infill happening here in Jefferson County. We need to make sure that the local communities have a voice And I think one of the things that the commissioners can really have an impact on is making sure that developers and property owners are communicating with impacted communities from the get-go. It absolutely should not be a last minute trying to work out the details. If everyone can sit down right at the beginning and work on these issues from the start, I think the whole process goes much more smoothly. But certainly staying within the zone laws and making sure that the resources are available those are critical things.
Perfect. Thank you. So last formal question here. What challenge, and Andy, you're first, what challenge do you think needs to be addressed first if you're elected? What's that first thing you're going to tackle?
Absolutely. So one of the things that I think that is impacting every single person in Jefferson County, obviously, is COVID-19. And it has had an impact on our schools. It's had an impact on our businesses. It has an impact on everyone's daily life. We need to make sure, and as I mentioned before, safe and open. Make sure that the people of Jefferson County are safe and that we reopen everything as soon as possible. Teachers want to get back to school. Businesses want to open. People want to go out and shop and go to restaurants. And we need to do that safely. It is critical that we keep our population healthy so that we can fully reopen. The last thing we need is another spike in COVID cases. And so we need to open safely, and we need to get our businesses open as soon as possible.
Perfect. Thank you. All right, Joni, same question to you. What's that first big challenge you're going to tackle if elected?
Well, there are two. The first is clearly management of our money, our taxpayer money, and making sure that our spending decisions are in alignment with the core values of the community. The county has roughly a $600 million all funds budget. And if you add the assets into that, it could be, the buildings and land, it could be a multi-billion-dollar corporation. We can't manage this with across the board cuts or across the board increases. We have to be very strategic about its management and look first at those services that government and only government can provide, like community safety. I have a unique combination of both government and business management experience, and I'm confident that I can help ensure responsible, competent management of the taxpayer dollars. The second challenge is ensuring community safety. Yes, getting and keeping bad guys off the streets, but also making sure that those streets are well maintained and safe to drive on.
Perfect. Thank you, Joni. So I'll have both of you unmute now for fire round, and we're just going to go back and forth. Joni, you're first on this question, and it is your favorite place to shop or eat in Arvada?
Breadwinners.
Awesome. Andy?
Schoolhouse.
Good choices. Thank you. Andy, you're first. What was the last book you read?
I miss traveling, so I'm reading some Bill Bryson travel books.
Nice. Joni, how about you?
Emerson's essays, Ralph Waldo Emerson.
Excellent. Joni, you're up first. What is the most common topic that comes out when you're out campaigning?
Fear over lawlessness.
Perfect. Andy, how about you?
COVID-19.
All right, perfect. Andy, you're up first. If you could have coffee with someone dead or alive, who would it be?
Kamala Harris.
Excellent. Joni, how about you?
I'd like to kick back at Breadwinners with a cup of coffee with Jesus.
Very nice. This is good. All right, last fire round question is to you first, Joni. What was your first job?
Bus girl at the old Heidelberg Inn.
I love that. Andy?
We keep overlapping, busing tables at 240 Union.
I love that. That's awesome. Well, thank you both so much for your thoughtful answers. Appreciate it. We'll move on to District 1.
All right, District 1. I will start with you, Libby. First, what will you do as commissioner to ensure that the county has a balanced budget?
Michael, great question and very timely. We've spent the last 2 weeks talking with the elected officials and the department heads about the budget. Every year we spend months discussing the budget. It's very intricate and very complicated, and I have that experience to make sure that we are looking at it in a great broad view. Like in years past, I will always try to make sure that we trim our budget to balance it and make sure the taxpayers feel the least amount of impact in the services they pay and expect. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you very much. Tracy, before I kick it over to you, can I just try one more time to see if Hans has joined us again? Okay, Tracy, audio, please.
Oh, of course, one person has to do it. I'm getting text from him that it's raining where he's at and he's having a hard time getting internet, but I don't know if he's made it.
That doesn't sound like. So Tracy, if you could please kick off your answer to that first question.
Okay, so I have a long history of ensuring that budgets are balanced. As I had said earlier, I was the director of the Gemini House and Women in Crisis with Family Tree, where we not only had a balanced budget, we had a surplus budget. The state legislature, I served on the Appropriations Committee and the Finance Committee. We had a balanced budget every year for 8 years. This last year, we cut $3.3 billion out of that budget. In the Jeffco budget, I have concerns about the policy of balancing our budget by digging into our reserves, which my understanding is we've needed to do for the last 5 years. This is not sustainable. It's also not sustainable to be able to cut your revenue by decreasing the mill levy. We have a strong budget team and we need to seriously look at those issues. I do want to commend Commissioner Szabo for supporting the debrucing initiative last year. It shows that this is a bipartisan action and we can look at creative solutions. Thank you.
And Tracy, I'll stay with you on this next question, please. What lessons and opportunities have come from the county's response to COVID-19?
Wow, I am so impressed by the comprehensive manner that we've been working on in Jefferson County to deal with COVID. Departments working together. We have updates from our public health on a regular basis, whether it's on Congressman Perlmutter's call, whether it's on the commissioner's call. Mark Johnson has been there. Mark Johnson, who was supposed to be retired, was supposed to be bike riding through Holland, and is now our leader and our expert in this area. So I want to thank him. We have an increase in testing sites. We have the mask ordinances, working with the public health, working with businesses, working with citizens around the mask ordinances. What does that mean? Over 500 people have called public health in a short period of time asking about what is the mask ordinance, what can we do, how do we need to do it? And then, of course, the Committee on Economic Recovery, headed by our own Mary Bird. Really want to say good job, County.
All right, Libby, your response?
Great. There have been many opportunities that have come our way in Jefferson County. Although the commissioners have not been making those decisions, we have been able to educate and communicate with the citizens. And the things that are going on with COVID are vast. And I have spoke to many, many constituents about just what they can rely on and what is being done. We have been able to use the CARE Acts, working with Cami and some of the other chamber heads to provide small business grants for our businesses that are struggling in our community. Cami and I went and made a video the other day highlighting some of those businesses. And that is a great opportunity we have. One of the lessons learned is how smart and talented our business owners are. They have been very quick to come up with great ideas on how to make their business operate in this crisis so they can provide for their employees and families.
Thank you, Libby. And I'm going to go back to you for this next question, number 3. What type of policy can be implemented at the county level that will support Jefferson County businesses?
Great question, Michael. Most of the onerous regulations come out of the state legislature. And we have to make sure that we do not, at the county, pile on more time-consuming, burdensome mandates that would prohibit businesses from thriving in our county. The policies have to be fair and transparent. In addition, we must make sure that a business owner who wears many hats can wade through and understand the policies in order to be in compliance, but not bogged down with excess regulations and making sure they have the time to actually run their business. And our family learned this firsthand. As you know, we have owned a business for over 50 years in Jefferson County, actually in Arvada. And wearing all those hats, the best thing we can do for the community is to be able to run our businesses and make sure our employees can feed their families.
Thank you, Libby. Tracy, your response?
So as you know, I've served as the chair of the Business Affairs and Labor Committee for the last 4 years at the legislature, worked closely with our economic councils. I believe that the policies that we need to be looking at are those that increase consumer confidence. Our economy will improve as our customers feel confident in being able to go back to the stores. People like me need to go to DSW instead of shopping online. Those are the policies we need to be looking at. 500 people crowding into a coffee shop for political purposes does not increase consumer confidence. We need to be looking at policies such as our mask ordinance, such as how we are opening, such as our coordination with public health. Consumers will drive this economy.
Okay, Tracy, I'll stay with you. You get the first crack at question number 4. What challenge do you think needs to be addressed first if you are elected?
Thank you. So I think it's a trifecta. It's COVID, how can we be healthy, stay healthy, keep our numbers down? Economic recovery, how can we bring jobs back, keep the jobs that we have, make sure that consumers are feeling confident, and racial inequity, making sure that our policies, our procedures, our way of life is an equitable way of life.
Thank you. We'll kick it back to you, Libby.
All right, thank you. You know, I will keep the priorities that I've always governed by, which is ensuring our community is safe and healthy. I think they're really relying on that right now. Maintaining a solid transportation infrastructure that also includes maintaining safe and health in our communities, and providing a safe and healthy environment for our businesses to prosper. That means pretty much getting out of the way and letting them, the consumers and the businesses, drive our economy. We need to make sure also that our county government works for we the people and not the other way around.
Excellent. Thank you, ladies. Now to get you to know you a little more personally, into the fire round. And Libby, since the floor is yours, I will start with you. Your favorite place to shop or eat in Arvada?
This is the tough one because there's a lot of them. Monterey House.
Tracy?
Patio at Smokin' Fins.
What was the last book you read? Tracy, will stay with you.
Leadership by Doris Goodwin, Kearns Goodwin.
Libby?
Developing the Leader Within You by John Maxwell, and the Bible each morning.
All right, Libby, what is the most common topic that comes up when you are out campaigning?
Well, it all depends what area you're in at that point, but really the uncertainty of COVID and the people's safety.
Tracy?
Schools. When do we open? How do we open? How do we fund it?
All right. Tracy, if you could have coffee with someone dead or alive, who would it be?
My grandma.
Libby?
My mom, who's been gone for 20 years and has taught me to embrace my Hispanic heritage.
All right. Libby, what was your first job?
It was at a t-shirt shop at 80th and Wadsworth when I was 16.
Tracy?
Standing the counter at a dry cleaner's.
All right.
Awesome. Thank you, Michael. Thank you both. I always love hearing that first job question. It's certainly one of my favorites. That's awesome. So we are going to fast and furious move into our closing remarks. I am going to ask each of our candidates, after you complete your remarks, if you want to put your website in that chat box, make sure you're selecting all panelists and attendees so that people can learn a little bit more about you after this event. That would be fantastic. We are going to start with the district attorney's seat for closing remarks. Alexis, you are first with 1 minute.
Thank you so much. Thank you again for this forum today. I hope everyone was able to get more information, not only about the people running, but the offices themselves. We are really at a crossroads with our district attorney's office about whether we're going to step forward and really transform what we're doing with a transparent and accountable way, whether that's around racial issues, whether that's around bond and how we use our jail, and whether or not that is around how we allow people who can be directed in the community to access those services. And I am the only candidate who has focused on those issues as part of my professional endeavors, and not only as a prosecutor, but as a magistrate judge. And when we look at where we're at, we have so many great places to go. And I'm so sorry. I have that leadership, and I'd love to connect with anyone who has more questions about the race. Again, my name is Alexis King, and I'm running to be your next district attorney. I'll put my info in the chat box, and if you have any questions, I'm always available if you want to reach out.
Thank you, Alexis. Appreciate that. Next up, we'll hear from Matt Durkin.
Thank you again, Cammie and Michael and the Arvada Chamber of Commerce for this great forum. Thank you to all the viewers, and thank you to Ms. King for being here as well. I'm just calling on you all to join me in pushing this crime wave back. Homicide rates are up, violent crime is up, drug overdoses and drug addiction are up, and then due to COVID, there's a backlog of cases. But we are a strong community here in Jefferson and Arvada, Jefferson County and Arvada, and we can make sure that our best days are ahead of us. Now more than ever, we need leadership that puts public safety over politics, and we need to put these bad policies driving crime up away. The next district attorney needs to be someone with experience. And as the former deputy attorney general and current chief deputy district attorney, I'm the only candidate in the race who has looked a murderer in the eye as he's being sentenced to prison forever based upon the damage he has done to a victim and getting victims' family justice. I have a plan to curb recidivism, curb crime, and improve public safety for all. Please visit durkinforda.com. Enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it. We're going to move to District 1, starting with Libby Szabo. Oh, hit unmute one more time there, Libby.
All right, great. Thank you. I want to first give a big shout out to you, Cammie, and to the Arvada Chamber for putting this together. But mostly kudos to each of you who have a business here in our community. I want to give you a big shout out for how you handled the COVID crisis with grace and ingenuity. I'm so proud to live and serve among you. Keep up the good work. Arvada, I will always be your favorite fan, and I would be honored to have your vote in November. I believe my record and my experience and my commitment to our community has been that I serve you with my whole heart and everything I have, because you, the people, are who all of this is about. Visit libbyszabo.com, and I'd be honored to have your support in November.
Thank you, Commissioner. Next up is Representative Kraft-Tharp. Closing remarks.
Thank you. So thank you very much, Arvada Chamber, for a forum. This is actually my 5th Arvada forum that I have been honored to participate in. So as a member of the Government Affairs Committee, you all have seen closely the work that I have done at the state legislature, working closely with Ed Rothschild on sales and use tax. That how can we negotiate between the strong interests of the municipalities, the business community, to come up with a way to streamline our sales tax system. We have been successful at that this year. The databases are being launched. So very, very pleased to be able to share that work with you. Who am I? What kind of county commissioner will I be? It's one thing for me to tell you, but let's let Brian tell you. Your common sense will be missed in the legislature, Tracy. Nobody has worked harder to engage the community. Appreciate all you've done. I'm Tracy Kraft-Tharp. I'm running for County Commissioner, District 1. TracyForJeffco.com. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Appreciate those closing remarks. As a reminder, put your websites in that chat box so everybody can learn more about each of our candidates. Moving to our final group today, District 2. We're going to start with Andy doing closing remarks.
Great, thanks, Cami. And this has been a wonderful opportunity to talk about our shared values and so many of us that have our deep roots here in Jefferson County. One thing I know beyond a doubt is that the next commissioner from District 2 will have gone to Dunston Junior High School. So we all know that. In my time in the legislature, I not only chaired the Education Committee in the Senate, but I also served on the Finance, Appropriations, and Business and Labor Committees in both the House and the Senate, and saw a whole variety of different issues there. One thing I've always been known for is to be a listener, and I mentioned my appetizers with Andy town halls that I used to do. As we heard last night, America's greatest moments have often come right after some of our largest challenges, and I see that for Jefferson County. So asking you for your support, please go to kerr4jeffco.com. Thank you for this opportunity.
Thank you. We appreciate those closing remarks. Last is Joni Inman.
Joni, unmute, please.
Thank you again, Michael. Unlike state and federal government, the decisions of our local elected officials have the most immediate impact on our daily lives. A supporter of mine said, forget all that slop in Washington, this is Jefferson County, and I think that's really good advice. It's imperative to elect people at the local level who clearly understand their role and the impact of their decisions on the broader community. Experience matters. I leave you with two promises. One, I don't want to be governor or congressman or anything else. I want to be your Jefferson County Commissioner, and I'll devote all of my time to that. I'll do my best to honor Jefferson County's rich heritage while strategically planning for its future. And I ask for your support. I promise I won't let you down. To learn more about my campaign, please visit joniforjeffco.com. And thank you so much to the Arvada Chamber for another really successful forum. It's been a pleasure to be a part of it.
All right. Well, thank you to all the candidates and everyone who joined us this morning on the call for your civic engagement and trying to educate yourselves, on the candidates, on the topics that are important, for our county and where we live. So thank you for joining us today, learning a bit more, and let's give them a round of applause, which I'm not sure exactly how you do other than the little clappy signal. There's a little golf clap. Thank you all the candidates for joining us. Running for office is no small task, and congratulations to all of you on your decision to make a difference in your community, right? I will ask Cami to close out the event today. Thank you, everybody.
Awesome. Thank you, Michael. I appreciated running this event with you today. That was fun, and I appreciated all of you giving us a chance to get to know you a little bit better. I do want to give a big shout out to our Government Affairs Committee, who is integral in helping us identify topics of interest for our community during this time. So thank you to all of you that serve on that committee. We're grateful for your dedication. I also want to take a moment to just give you a quick heads up on a few things chamber related. As you know, we've been focused on COVID-19 response over the past few months. We're continuing to do that. We do have some mini grants and PPE still available. If you're interested, please visit arvadachamber.org. Additionally, we have 2 boot camps that will be launching early in September. Applications are due next Wednesday. One is a leadership boot camp, helping you to hone those skills as a leader. The other is a resiliency boot camp, thinking about how do we build the strongest businesses possible within our community so that we continue to thrive. We do have a number of scholarships available available for those programs. And so I would encourage anybody to apply. It's 90 minutes a week for 12 weeks. It's going to be incredible. We can't wait to share with you all the wonderful presenters we have. And then finally, we had to do a slight pivot this year, as many of us are getting familiar with, and we are doing our annual golf tournament at Top Golf. That will allow for us to host a safe tournament where we're able to bring our businesses together for some socially distanced networking. So we look forward to that and hope that you can join us. You can find more information at the Chamber website. As always, I'm grateful to all of you. I'm hopeful. I was so thankful to hear so many people talk about working together today. I believe that is a huge piece of what makes Arvada and Jefferson County so important and so wonderful. So I'm grateful to all of you for setting that tone in our conversations. Thank you so much, and thank you again to all of our sponsors. Have a wonderful day, everyone.
Have a great weekend.
Thank you all so much. Have a great afternoon.
Thank you.
Bye, Tammy. Thank you.
Bye, everyone.
Thank you.